Morality, history, tradition, and facts matter. Reality matters. Every day we are inundated with more lies coming from Donald Trump and his MAGA regime. They blame shift, lie, spin, create false narratives, and attack press members asking perfectly legitimate questions, all on a regular basis. We have to remind ourselves that this is not normal. We have to scream it from the virtual rooftops. What Donald Trump and MAGA are doing is not normal. It has no mooring in our collective social compact of basic human morality and decency. MAGA stopped the custom of good faith governance. They sacrificed the common goal that all political leaders must share to serve the nation, its people, and the Constitution of the United States. That is a massive tear in the fabric of our nation's political history and tradition, something we have not seen since the Civil War. This manufactured divide is reaching a fever pitch. MAGA soldiers are either waking up from the daze because their wallets keep pinching, or they're preparing to go extreme like they did on January 6, 2021. We'll see in the coming months how effective MAGA's propaganda engine remains. Donald has already dog whistled them to gear up for an anti-immigrant, pro-fascist civilian environment. One big disadvantage: this time they cannot blame Democrats for the skyrocketing costs or anything else. Prices across the board are higher than they were last year. Inflation is now higher than it was last year. And Republicans have both chambers of Congress and the White House. They even have a friendly SCOTUS. Yet, the only thing they've been able to accomplish is follow a leader who posts AI videos of shitting on American people who are protesting his authoritarian tactics and policies. The only thing MAGA can do is follow a leader who is creating a vast police state decked out with AI surveillance programs. It is a moral collapse of the Republican Party unlike anything we've seen before. MAGA latched onto the GOP and has now turned it completely subversive. If you are not loyal to Donald Trump 100%, you have no place in MAGA. And if you have no place in MAGA, you have no place in America. That's what Donald's ultimate goal is. He wants a nationalist society with a white nationalist government that he rules. That's how mobs, gangs, cults, and fascist dictators operate, not political parties in a functioning democratic constitutional republic. Political leaders in our constitutional republic, once elected, work for the people who voted them into office. They don't work for the leader of their party, even if that person is the president of the United States. In fact, legislative branch's elected officials have a duty to check presidential power, not be a rubber stamp institution that keeps giving away its core powers vested to it by the Constitution. This is a breakdown of our history, traditions, and how our government has worked from its inception. Donald's actions are also a direct assault on separation of powers and checks and balances, constitutional principles that have held our government together since its founding. The Supreme Court has been critical in this component of Donald's hard right agenda. They have allowed Donald to balloon executive power unlike we've seen in over 100 years, if not more. They have provided presidents with near total immunity when no such provision exists in the Constitution. This court has allowed racial profiling, detentions without due process, and firing of federal officials without process or just cause. The court seems inclined to believe in the unitary executive, where the president has vast power while the other two branches only support the president, instead operate as independent branches of our government. That is not how our founding fathers framed our Constitution. In fact, the unitary executive theory clashes up against our founding principles of not having a despot or king. In America, the rule of law is king, and we are governed by representatives who work for us, the people. It is the president's job, his constitutional obligation because of the oath he took, to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. But so far, Donald has only exploited or abused the rule of law, if not completely defy it with his executive orders. He has based his discriminatory executive orders on suggestions of his subordinates who have their own agendas, whether that be Stephen Miller when it comes to Homeland Security or Russell Vought when it comes to economic policy. Their policies do not reflect what the American people need and want at this time. We want affordable housing, affordable cost of living, affordable energy, affordable electricity, affordable health care, secure jobs, retirement plans, child care, elder care, clean streets, clean environment, well-paved roads, adequate medical support, and stable communities not terrorized by DHS, federal agents, or military service members, all of whom Donald keeps putting in harm's way by putting them on the streets at this really volatile political time and making them do tasks that they are not trained for, like cleaning trash, landscaping, and policing. All the while, they are exposed to danger, as we have seen now with Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf. As SCOTUS sits on the National Guard case, and SCOTUS sits on the National Guard case that could check Donald and return the various guards back to their states. It is SCOTUS's constitutional duty to check the president when he unconstitutionally pushes executive power beyond the bounds of the law, whether by using the wrong law or by using the right law but not meeting the basic requirements needed to bring legal action. Either way, POTUS is pushing an agenda on SCOTUS, and so far, SCOTUS has acquiesced, allowing the president to bend our history and tradition, bend the truth of what's happening nationwide, and bend our moral compass away from the truth, that we are an immigrant nation and our diversity strengthens us. Let's get back to reality. Let's push back against the lies coming out of the regime. Cost of living is not down. It is higher than it was last year. Cost of energy is up. Cost of electricity is up. Health insurance has a real chance of skyrocketing if MAGA doesn't extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Economists do not know what's happening with the economy because the government is not publishing economic numbers to show the direction of the economy. Consumer sentiment is wobbly, just like the stock market, teetering on the ledge, one step away from disaster. An encroaching federal police state is stifling farms, construction industry, and raising costs for groceries and cost of home building. The police state is violating constitutional rights that all people in the United States are entitled to. Due process, right against unreasonable search and seizure, right against cruel and unusual punishment, right to counsel, and right to equal protection under the law. While lower courts are rebuking Donald's regime, SCOTUS has allowed the president's overreaches that defy conventional wisdom. It brings us all to a critical question. Can our government, as laid out in the Constitution, survive the corruption that currently plagues it? Can American society bounce back from this aberration that is stifling progress by imposing punitive tariffs when the president isn't allowed to tariff under the law he used to impose tariffs? This is the reality where we stand as a country. When things will get better depends entirely on how long it takes for Americans, including MAGA, to wake up and push back against a regime that is working against our basic interests and well being. Ask yourselves, will hating people different from you put food on your table? Will fearing people different from you put a roof over your head? Will a police state where your rights are also denied be in your best interest? Is a $300 million ballroom that will dwarf our White House really the sort of change Washington, D.C. needs? Or do we need more corporate money to be banned from entering our politics? Do we need to tax the rich or let them live virtually tax-free? Do we need more tariffs or do we need SCOTUS to invalidate Donald's tariffs so American businesses and consumers aren't being taxed over and over again for the most basic products like food items, clothing, and necessary electronics? Do you need a police state that spies on you? Because that's what Donald Trump is getting ready to do if he's not doing it already. If we do not stand up while Donald vilifies non-white communities, it won't be long before his regime comes after you based on your ancestry, sexual orientation, political affiliation, or any other feature the regime finds threatening to the despot ruling the police state that you have been complicit in building with your silence. Think about this. With that said, thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.